I was laying concrete under the subdivision gate when the permit violation notice slapped my windshield, its paper still warm from the copier. She called the cops before the mix could set waving bylaws like weapons, but the clerk filed my real permit into record instead. So I printed every forged email, carried them to the hearing, and watched her face freeze when the board read the fine $3 million. Paper doesn't lie, I said. Finally, someone fought back. The rebar grid looked straight as a rifle sight when the cruiser turned the corner. I was smoothing the last pass of concrete when red and blue washed the cul-de-sac. Wet cement mirrored the lights. I set the trowel on the tool bench and wiped grit from my palms. "Sir," the driver called, window down. "We got a call about an unpermitted driveway expansion." I kept my voice level. "You're early. I'm within the forms." Same footprint. A second cruiser rolled in. The neighborhood hushed. A grill hissed, then clicked off. Cut grass and diesel in the air. Marla Gray stepped out from her SUV in slate heels. Her HOA badge hung from a lanyard like a prop. "Officers," she said. He ignored our directive. "The association authorizes immediate compliance." "Association doesn't outrank county code," I said. "What's your authority here, Ms. Gray?" She lifted a clipboard. The top sheet had a crisp logo, but the seal was flat ink. "Notice of violation," she said. "May I see the emboss?" I asked. "No need. It's on file." I pulled my folder from the porch table and set it on the sawhorse. My grandmother's boundary pin lay beside it, brass-polished round as a coin. It marked where our line actually ran. Officer Marla pressed "Please, document refusal." The older cop checked the curb cut. "We're just here to keep the peace." "Then let me show you paperwork," I said. "Permits don't argue. They verify." I opened to a photocopy of the 1973 permit. Original porch and drive approved. No encroachment. "I'm replacing slab, not expanding." Marla's smile thinned. He poured beyond approved width. "Forms match the chalk line," I said. "The survey shows it." The younger officer nodded at my folder. "You have the survey right here." I slid the map onto the sawhorse. The red lot line curved across the page. "Sunset Ridge boundary is there. My parcel sits outside the HOA by 207 feet. Marla tapped her page. "Different map. New rules." "Rules don't move property," I said. "Pins do." "Well, your association dues are delinquent," she said. "I don't belong to your association." Her jaw tightened. She handed the older cop her notice. The seal caught the light and revealed nothing. "May I film this for my records?" I asked. "Go ahead," the older cop said. I raised my phone. "State your name and role for the record." "Marla Gray, President, Sunset Ridge HOA," she said. "And your authority to cite a non-member?" I asked. "Our bylaws permit enforcement in the interest of uniform standards. Show me the bylaw section." "It's online," which is not the same as filed. The younger cop shifted. "We can call dispatch to confirm any open complaint." "Please do," I said. Marla angled her clipboard. "The fine escalates in 72 hours. "On what case number?" I asked. She read a string. I wrote it on a receipt. Silent beat wind in the map edges a kid's bike wheel ticking past. "Here's mine," I said. I placed a certified copy under the porch light. The notice of violation, 512-07 received. 03-17 stamp glowed violet. The emboss threw a shadow. The older cop leaned close. "This one's county." Marla didn't. "Outdated." We superseded. "You can't supersede the county," I said. "Sir," the older cop said, "we just need to note both sides." "Note this," I said. "There's no emboss on her page. It's a laser stamp. The barcode is cosmetic." Marla's tone smoothed. "You're obstructing an inspection. Inspection requires notice." 10 days, I said. "I haven't received one." She glanced at the slab. "Then we'll file a lien. Against someone who isn't your member, it will sort out after payment. That's not how due process works." Minnie Cliff. The mixer coughed and died like it heard the price. Officer Marla said, "Are you going to act?" "We're not code enforcement," the younger one said. "We can make a note." "Make sure your note says she refused a verifiable case number," I said. "And that my permit is embossed." The older cop scratched in his book. "What's your name, Sir Sterling Huxley?" "Property owner." "Copy of ID." I handed it over. He checked, returned it. "Best course, take it to planning in the morning." "I will," I said. "I want this interaction on record." Marla pinched her clipboard. "We can resolve fees right now." "No, You're making this harder than it needs to be. I'm making it documented. She slid a glossy trifold onto the sawhorse. Stock photos didn't blink. The younger cop looked at the seal again. Ma'am, do you have a raised stamp? A number we can call it's online, she repeated. Then the answer's no, I said. Minnie Cliff. The cul-de-sac listened. The cicadas became the loudest thing here. I lifted the boundary pin, its weight familiar. This sat at the corner when my grandmother planted roses. Same line, same right. Marla's eyes flicked to the cement. We'll be back with our inspector, she said. Bring a real one, I said, with a name tag made of metal. The older cop holstered his pen. We're clearing. Keep it calm. It stays calm, as long as it stays legal, I said. The cruisers eased away. Marla hesitated, then left her trifold on the wood like a tip no one wanted. I slid my certified copy back into the folder and set the embossed seal on top so it would be the first thing I saw when doubt tried a door. Paper can move faster than concrete. The diner opened at 6. I slid into the last booth, concrete dust still in the seams of my hands. The fake citation sat face up by the sugar packets. Coffee steamed. Bacon hissed. A flag hung crooked by the pie case. Refill, the waitress asked, pen tucked behind her ear. Please. And a question, I said. You ever seen a county notice without an emboss? She eyed the paper. Looks official from far, like my ex, she said. Up close, it's just ink. Exactly, I said. No raised seal, no case number that tracks. She topped my cup. You okay? I'm documenting, I said, before memory starts lying. 2 men at the counter glanced over. One nudged the other. The citation's Hort Hunter 12, Show 7 header did its job. If intimidation were a font, it'd be bolded Times New Roman. I set my phone above the plate and filmed a slow pan date header. Blank emboss. I circled the fake barcode with a pen. Mind if I ask? The waitress said, are they allowed to call cops for that? They did? I said, doesn't mean they should. Comment trigger hung between us. Power misused looks clean. I paid cash, tucked the fake into a manila folder, and walked to the post office. The entry bell chimed. Fluorescent lights hummed like insects. A man in a veteran cap held a shoebox under one arm. Certified, the clerk asked. To, I said. To county planning. To myself. She weighed the envelope. Anything fragile. Just proof, I said. I slid a flash drive inside, labeled it Driveway Huxley 0317. The clerk stamped green slips, handed me the tracking numbers. Busy morning, she said. Paperwork makes mornings, I said. Outside, the flag snapped once. My truck door absorbed the sound. I set the folder on the passenger seat, the boundary pin still nestled like a coin at the bottom. Grandmother's line, still intact. My phone buzzed. Sunset Ridge Management. Final courtesy notice. Compliance in 72 hours. A link followed short and hungry. I drove to the county building. Brick square, real. Inside the hall smelled like floor wax and toner. The planning window had a small sign, now serving B32. I took B45 and sat on a molded chair that remembered everyone. A kid swung his feet next to me. A woman balanced a roll of blueprints on her knees. The clock ticked like a metronome for nerves. When B45 blinked, I stepped up. Morning, the clerk said. Her tag read Pritchard. Morning, I said. Sterling Huxley. I need to verify an inspection order and a citation. I slid the fake across and kept my certified copy under my palm, a quiet trump card. She scanned the page. What address, I told her. Her fingers found keys by muscle memory. No inspection on file. Last permit stamped 1973. Porch and drive compliant. She tapped the fake. This format is wrong. There's no case stub, no officer signature, and the seal is missing. Not missing, I said. Never there. Right, she said. Never there. She leaned to the side and pulled a binder. If there's a legitimate notice, it prints like this. She slid a sample under the glass. The raised seal dimpled the paper like a fossil. A hologram line danced when the light hit it. Can I film your sample, I asked. You can photograph it, she said. No names. I snapped 2 shots and stepped back. More, I said. I got a text with a payment link. Compliance in 72 hours. Does the county text threats? She didn't smile. We send letters with case numbers. We don't threaten. Thought so, I said. Send me the link, she said. We'll document. I forwarded the message to the address on her card, planning@county.gov. She checked the fake again. "What's your plan?" "Find the authentic trail," I said, "and put it on record." She nodded toward a public station. "You can pull the HOA registry there. If they're real, their board and address are posted. If they're quiet, that's its own data point." I sat at the terminal. The screen bleached my reflection to a ghost. Search Sunset Ridge HOA Management. The registry returned a P.O. box, a filing date, and an empty board list. I printed the page. The laser started with a stutter. The printer hum filled the alcove. It sounded more honest than the fake seal ever could. Mini Cliff machines don't care who's right. They care what's fed. I searched the bylaw database for extraterritorial enforcement. Nothing. I searched non-member assessment. Nothing. I searched Sunset Ridge boundary and pulled the GIS overlay. Red lines held like fence rails. My parcel sat outside the pen. I printed the map, then opened the county complaint portal. It asked for attachments. I added video of the driveway photo of the fake diner footage with the paper on Formica and the registry printout. In the description I wrote, HOA, President-initiated police contact for non-member driveway repair. Provided unembossed notice. Payment link threatens 72-hour compliance. I saved a copy to my drive. "Ms. Pritchard," I said, returning to the window, "I want to submit an evidence packet." "File it here," she said. She slid a stamp across and pressed. The received impression thunked like a small verdict. "Do you ever get tired of the stamp?" I asked. "No," she said. "It's the only noise that fixes things." I held up my phone. "One more thing. The text linked goes to a site with stock photos. It asks for routing numbers and date of birth. We'll notify the cyber unit," she said. "Do not enter anything." "I won't," I said. A man stepped up behind me. "You the driveway guy?" he asked, voice low. "I am. They sent my wife that same link," he said. "We almost paid. We didn't want trouble. Trouble is what you get when you pay," I said. "Document, first." His relief looked like posture. He nodded and stepped back. Pritchard printed a small receipt. "Here's your case number," she said. "It puts a clock on them instead of you." "Good," I said. She hesitated. "You'll get pushback. Keep it on paper." "Paper is patient," I said. I walked to the public copier and lined everything up, the fake, the registry page, the GIS map, the stamped receipt. I added a cover sheet, Exhibit A. Permit 1973, certified. Then I opened a blank page and typed Exhibit B HOA, email, compliance 72 hours. I hovered my cursor over the county terminal again. If the link feared exposure, it might retreat. I clicked it anyway. The page loaded Bannerstock subdivision at dusk. Pay now, a soothing green. I scrolled to terms and about. Bare boilerplate, no names. The contact page listed the same P.O. box and a generic support at address. I took screenshots, landing page payment form compliance timer at 71:52:10. I saved them to a labeled folder, SRAHOA, threats. Back at the printer, the hum rose and fell like a machine breathing. Pages stacked. I clipped them together and wrote Exhibit B in block letters. Mini Cliff proof stacks taller than fear when you staple it tight. On the way out, the veteran with the shoebox stood by the vending machine. They told me I owed $300 for uniformity. He said, "No, hello." "Did you pay?" "Not yet. Felt wrong." "Hold the line," I said. "County has your back." He lifted the box a little. Good to hear. Outside, the day had sharpened. Sun on brick. A breeze that smelled like cut envelopes. I sat in the truck, locked the folder into the glove compartment, and touched the boundary pin out of habit. Still there. Still true. My phone buzzed again. An email this time. Subject: compliance required. Body pay within 72 hours to avoid lien and legal action. No signature. No phone. Just a button. I replied instead of clicking, provide statutory authority and case number. Provide board roster and meeting minutes. Provide county contact verifying inspection. Until then, cease contact. I CC'd planning@county.gov and my own archive. Then I printed the email from my wireless printer on the passenger seat. Another hum, honest and plain. I wrote Exhibit B at the top and slid it under Exhibit A. They wanted me alone. I wasn't. The county records office smelled like ink that never dried. Rows of gray cabinets waited in silence. I stood at the counter folder under my arm, the same brass boundary pin in my pocket warm, but cracked down one edge from years of holding the line. Mara Pritchard looked up from her desk. Same clerk as before, new steadiness in her eyes. Back again, Mr. Huxley. Just sterling, I said. And yes, I brought proof this time. She motioned toward the scanner bed. Show me what you've got. I laid the fake HOA citation beside my old 1973 permit. Under the fluorescent lights, the difference screamed quiet flat toner versus embossed county seal that caught every flicker. Mara turned both pages. You can tell by the impression, she said. Genuine forms use pressure paper. You can feel the dent. I traced the seal's rim with a thumb. Real authority leaves a dent you can feel. She smiled at that. Mind if I quote you? Please do. Might save someone a headache. Behind us, a copier clattered punctuation for every sentence we were about to write. Mara keyed her terminal, pulled up the digital archive, and frowned. Their template number doesn't exist. The HOA file you mentioned, it's not registered with the county, so they printed their own government, I said. Looks that way. She reached for the stamp block. The rubber pad was worn smooth at the corners. Let's make this official. The thunk echoed through the glass partition. Order 1207. Received. A few heads turned. That sound was the truth arriving. She slid the page back to me, the red ink still drying. Keep this one separate. The embossed permit outweighs any unsigned citation. Will it hold up in hearing? Absolutely. They forged state language. Even spacing's wrong. Typography? I asked. Kerning, she said. Every lie has typography. Minnie Cliff. For a second, even the printer stopped breathing. I tucked the stamped page into my folder, careful not to smudge it. They won't like this. They won't have to, she said. You will. What do you mean you're about to become the point of reference? Everyone else with one of those fake notices will show up here tomorrow asking for your case number. Then we'd better have a system. She pulled a binder labeled Pending HOA Investigations and wrote my name. Case HUX 03117 SR. Same timestamp as the citation, I said. That's how we keep the story straight. She leaned closer. File a duplicate with code enforcement. They need to see this emboss in person. It's easier to deny pixels than pressure marks. I nodded. Can you witness the submission? Of course. She stamped another sheet. Filed 1422. Silent beat fluorescent hum smell of heated toner, the weight of real paper cooling in my hands. Mara lowered her voice. You've got them boxed in. Just don't let it get personal. It already is, I said. They called the cops to pour concrete. Then pour facts, she said. Harder to chip. I laughed once, short relief-shaped. You sound like someone who's been there. I audited a zoning board once, she said. Lost a friend over a fence line. Still worth it. Why help me? Because you filed correctly, she said. That shouldn't be rare. I folded the stamped permit and slid it into a fresh sleeve. The emboss caught the light again, an honest bruise on white. Thanks, Mara. Keep your receipt, she said, and maybe get that pin repaired. I rolled the cracked boundary pin between my fingers. I will. Some things still mark the earth better than ink. Minnie Cliff. The stamp echo followed me out 3 beats like a judge knocking from behind glass. Outside, the sky pressed against the courthouse windows mirrored blue over gray concrete. People queued for licenses, titles, small affirmations that they existed. I had mine cooling in the envelope. Every lie had typography. The truth had texture. The garage was the only place in the house that hummed louder than my thoughts. Old fluorescent tubes buzzed, one flickering like it was judging me. On the workbench, the stamped permit lay open beside a laptop. Its embossed edge caught the monitor glow cracked where time and handling had folded it too often. Prop num 2, the permit copy, ran but alive. Evan leaned against the truck vendor hoodie, half-sipped mug of black coffee balanced on an oiled rag. You really want to go through her metadata at midnight? Now's when systems sleep, I said. Less interference. He smirked. Less ethics, too. Ethics left when she printed the county seal without permission. He slid into the chair and tapped the keyboard. Code scrolled like rain. What are we looking for, Dad? A login trace. I want to see who last edited that citation template. He cracked his knuckles. All right, let's start with the document properties. The garage filled with light blue shimmer. Dust motes drifted like static. The printer beside the bench whirred once, waking from its own dream. Evan squinted at the screen. Here, metadata shows creation from Sunset Ridge admin.docx, uploaded by user M. Gray. I exhaled. Marla Gray, he nodded. Timestamp 2 days before your pour. Location tag Sunset Ridge, HOA, office IP. The fluorescent buzz deepened, or maybe my pulse did. So it's hers, I said. Looks like it. I'll run a header check for digital signature mismatch. He typed faster. The reflection of the screen painted both of us the same shade of determination. I told her at the curb, I said. She didn't have authority. Evan pointed at the monitor. Now, you've got proof she had audacity. He clicked export log. The printer started again, warm toner smell. Faint, static, crackle. The first page slid out trace report, file, HOA, citation template. DocX, author M. Gray. He handed it to me. The ink was still wet. Silent beat the garage clock ticked twice, the sound of paper cooling between us. You'll need a witness, he said. I have Mara, I said. County clerk. She'll know where to file it. He nodded. Then she's the second mentor, huh? Guess that makes you the first. He grinned. Then you owe me half a consulting fee. Half of 0 is generous, I said. We both laughed, but it ended quick. Evan pointed at the cracked edge of the permit copy. That thing's seen better days. So have I said. It still holds the mark. He tapped the report. Dad, you can't just drop this online. There are privacy laws. I'm not posting it. I'm presenting it. To who? The hearing board. Public record. It's not revenge. It's repair. He nodded slowly. You sound like you're building a case. I am. He looked at the monitor again. Metadata shows last access from a mobile device, same day she called the cops. I felt the quiet grow teeth. She did it herself. Minnie Cliff. Truth has fingerprints too. Evan clicked print all. Pages fed out steady rhythm like a drum roll. Want a digital copy saved. Redundant, I said. Paper outlives noise. He turned. That's your tagline now. More like a prayer. He grinned. Then let's laminate the prayer. We stacked the reports, clipped them, and slid them into a plastic sleeve. I labeled the top Exhibit C trace log, origin evidence. Evan studied my handwriting. You always write like a survey line. Straight. Curves waste ink, I said. The fluorescent bulb above us sputtered, then steadied. The garage smelled of dust and conviction. He pointed to the phone charging by the vice grip. If she finds out, she'll lawyer up fast. Let her, I said. Lawyers like paper too. He smiled, small and proud. So, what now tomorrow? We file this with code enforcement. Mara witnesses. Then the HOA gets an official letter. Public hearing. Soon. Evan flipped one report page over and circled a line. You see this? Her username also appears in the printed by metadata. That means she physically outputted it. So it's not just digital, it's her hand. Exactly. This login is hers. We both stared at the monitor's light pooling over the bench. The embossed seal on the permit seemed to glow back, dent-catching shadow like a scar that finally had context. Minnie Cliff. Somewhere in that glow, humiliation turned into evidence. I turned off the overheads. Only the laptop glow remained. Tomorrow, we start the real pour. Evan zipped his hoodie, closed the lid, and grabbed the coffee mug. Now we make it public. The county board auditorium smelled like microphones and nerves. Rows of folding chairs faced a wooden dais under buzzing projectors. On the screen behind the council seal, the words, Case, 1207, Driveway. Permit inquiry glowed pale against the wall. Mara Pritchard sat 2 seats away, manila file clutched like a shield. Evan adjusted the HDMI cable at the media desk. The hum from the projector filled the silence before judgment. The chair cleared his throat. Mr. Sterling Huxley, property owner, presenting evidence regarding a complaint filed by Sunset Ridge Homeowners Association. You may proceed. I rose. My knees felt poured concrete. Heavy, firm, unyielding. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I brought 3 exhibits. Marla Gray sat at the end of the respondent table, gray suit, crisp hair tighter than truth. Her counsel whispered, but she kept her eyes forward. I stepped to the podium. Prop number 3. The projection screen lit my folder in soft white. Exhibit A. I said, original county permit embossed and certified, 1207. The camera zoomed. The audience leaned. Under the overhead, the raised seal cast a clear shadow. Exhibit B. I continued document issued by Sunset Ridge HOA, same code number but printed on non-government stock. No emboss, no signature, no filing number. Gasps rippled like wind through pages. Mara tapped her laptop and the two documents appeared side by side, genuine seal against fake ink. The chair leaned forward. The distinction is obvious. Obvious, I echoed, but only if you know where to look. Most residents don't. They just pay. Marla's voice cut across. Our forms were templates, not legal claims. It was a misunderstanding. Your metadata says otherwise. I turned toward Evan. Run the trace. He keyed the projector feed. The big screen blinked, then filled with the report header, File HOA, Citation Template, .docs. Author, McGray, printed, 03-15. Location, Sunset Ridge, HOA office. The chair looked down the table. Ms. Gray, is that your credential? She hesitated. I use the office computer for board correspondence. Do you also use it to forge county documents? I asked. Her attorney rose. Objection. Accusatory. Withdrawn, I said. I'll let the data speak. Silent beat projector hum deepened. Air thick with toner and tension. Mara stepped forward reading from the certified permit. County Planning confirms the original permit is active. No violation filed. HOA has no enforcement authority outside membership boundaries. The chair nodded slowly. That would make the association's citation invalid. Worse, I said, it made fear official. From the back row, a neighbor whispered, She fined us too. Another added, Same notice, same code. The chair raised a hand. Order, please. Marla's attorney leaned toward her. Say it was a draft, he hissed. Marla straightened. It was a draft proposal never distributed. I tapped the file on the screen. Then, who printed the 38 copies in the system log Mini-Cliff silence, the kind that lands like a verdict before the verdict? The chair adjusted his glasses. Mr. Huxley, do you have further evidence? Yes, I said. A recorded interaction with law enforcement showing that this notice triggered a police dispatch. Authenticated body cam timestamp matches HOA email. The events on record. Mara handed the flash drive to the bailiff. Filed as Exhibit C. The board clerk read aloud, Entry HOA complaint, non-member parcel unverified authority. The chair exhaled. Under county code, that's an abuse of administrative representation. Marla's face didn't move, but her hand clutched her pen hard enough to creak. The chair spoke into the mic. This board finds preliminary cause to suspend Sunset Ridge HOA's enforcement authority pending full investigation. Effective immediately. The gavel came down once. The sound cracked through the auditorium like a shutter closing. Reporters at the back began scribbling. Cameras blinked red. Evan's laptop light reflected in every lens. Mara looked over. You did it, she whispered. Not yet, I said. Paper outlives noise. She smiled faintly. It just did. Mini-Cliff. The crowd didn't cheer. They exhaled, long collective, like a held breath returned. The chair continued. We will reconvene for final ruling next week. In the meantime, Mr. Huxley, thank you for your diligence. Integrity is tedious but necessary. Marla rose slow as wet plaster. Her attorney gathered the folder's eyes on the floor. As she turned to leave, the flash of cameras made the seal shimmer again, the real one, not hers. Evan unplugged the laptop. Mara collected the stamped copies. I closed my folder. The gavel struck once more, final punctuation. Cameras blinked brighter. Cliff. The screen froze on the image of the two documents embossed and fake perfectly side by side. The board reconvened under lights that made everything look already decided. News cameras nested along the back wall like patient crows. The county seal hung above the dais, centered immovable. Projectors idled with a low whir, waiting to show the thing no one could walk back. The chair adjusted his microphone. We are back on record for case PRO 12-07. Parties present Sterling Huxley, I said standing. Marla Gray, Sunset Ridge, she said, voice sanded down to neutral. Mara Pritchard County, Planning, Mara added. Evan lifted a hand from the media table. Technical support for exhibits. The chair glanced at the clerk. Any preliminary matters? She raised a document. For the board's awareness staff review confirms the association citation template was not issued or authorized by the county. Digital provenance traces to an HOA workstation credentialed to M. Gray. A murmur passed through the rows. Cameras tilted forward a few degrees as if leaning. Marla's attorney spoke into his mic. We contest the characterization. Any administrative error was inadvertent without malicious intent. My client has served her community faithfully. The chair's face didn't change. Intent will be weighed against outcome and authority. He turned to the audience. No outbursts, please. Mara stepped to the side podium. Your honors, the county's position is simple. Authority is documented. Outsiders cannot invent it. Residents were threatened with liens by a non-governing entity. We recommend formal censure and referral. The chair nodded. Enough summary. Findings. Silent beat projectors deepened their hum. The boardroom clock clicked once a metronome for consequences. The chair lifted a stapled packet. Finding 1 Sunset Ridge HOA issued documents that mimic county notices including Code FAR 1207 without legal basis. Finding 2 site documents were used to compel payments and threaten liens against non-member parcels. Finding 3 digital evidence shows Ms. Gray's credentials created and printed the templates. Finding 4 law enforcement was invoked under false color of authority. He placed the packet on the dais. Do parties wish to be heard before sanction? Marla's attorney pressed his button. We request a warning and time to correct internal procedures. Ms. Gray believed based on vendor representations that templates complied with outreach standards. There was no intent to defraud. I leaned into my mic. Intent didn't knock at my door. A fake notice did. He shot me a look. I kept my hands flat on the folder. The embossed seal cooled my palms through the paper. The chair's gaze settled on Marla. Ms. Gray, do you have anything to say to those who received these documents? Marla met the camera lenses, not the room. We were trying to maintain community standards. Things got messy. Standards don't excuse counterfeiting, Mara said, voice even. The chair lifted his gavel an inch, then set it down. Sanctions. He read like he was laying bricks. Sunset Ridge. HOA is stripped of any enforcement capacity within the county's jurisdiction until further order. All notices issued under the forged template are vacated. Restitution is ordered to known recipients. The clerk stood-fed a form into the podium printer. The machine woke with a throat-clearing growl. The chair continued. Civil penalties are imposed under the Code's False Representation Clause. The total fines based on counts and statutory maximums equal, the printer rattled. Paper edged out clean and accusatory. $3 million, he said. $3,000 due to the county within 60 days subject to collection by lien and legal remedy if unpaid. The sound that followed wasn't a cheer or a gasp or outrage. It was air re-entering lungs that had been stingy with it for months. Marla's attorney half rose. We'll appeal, you may, the chair said. The order is effective immediately. The clerk stamped the first page. Order landed with a weighty clack. She stamped the second page. Order. The printer kept feeding a white ribbon of consequence. Evan looked over at me, eyes bright but steady. He whispered to no one and everyone. Justice prints in black and white. Mara slid a copy to the evidence table for me. The red seal bled into the pulp like a brand cooling on hide. Prop number 3. Echo the fine notice. Not my seal this time, but theirs, edged and real. I spoke softly into my mic. For the record, I want to thank the board for clarity. The chair nodded. Clarity is our job. A reporter called from the aisle. Mr. Huxley comment I didn't look at him. I looked at the stamped word order and chose the one sentence that fit in the narrow space between triumph and humility. Finally, someone fought back. The reporter scribbled. Cameras blinked. Somewhere a headline cued itself. Marla's face drained a shade, but she didn't look at me. She stared at the paper like it might peel itself off the table and write a softer number. Her attorney stacked his notes with the neatness of denial. The chair tapped the packet again. We will also refer the matter to the state AG for review. Ms. Pritchard, please coordinate with code enforcement on restitution mechanism. Already drafting, Mara said. Good, he said. We expect progress reports at each meeting until remediation completes. I lifted the fine. Notice felt the press mark in my fingertips. Text has edges. You learn them by losing skin. Minnie, Cliff. The podium printer jammed for half a second, then fought through paper, refusing to be stopped by friction. The chair turned to me. Mr. Huxley, do you consent to your exhibits being released to the public portal? Yes, I said. People deserve a map before they pay a toll. He made a small note. So ordered. Marla's attorney leaned into his mic. We request a stay on publication pending appeal. Denied, the chair said. Transparency cures rumor. The clerk handed me a certified copy. The order impression caught the overhead light bright at the edges, dark in the dent. Mr. Huxley, a neighbor said from the back row, does this mean they can't tow my trailer anymore? They never could, I said. Now there's paper that says so. Mara closed her folder. I'll issue a notice to residents. Refund instructions will be attached. Evan packed the laptop. We should get these scanned, he said. We will, I said, but we file paper first. He smiled. Paper outlives noise. A second reporter approached recorder held forward. Ms. Gray, did you know the templates were forged? Marla didn't answer. Her attorney became a wall. The chair lifted the gavel again. Unless there's anything further, we are adjourned. The gavel fell. Cameras flashed. People stood not in celebration, but in alignment, shoulders unrounded, eyes up. I slipped the fine notice into a sleeve marked Exhibit D Order and wrote the date in block letters. The sleeve clicked in the binder. That sound was small and exact, like a door locking from the right side for once. Minnie, Cliff. The news crawl blinked across a phone in the front row, then another, then 10. It read the same on every screen, permit board finds HOA 3NM. In forgery case. The community center felt like election day without ballots. Folding tables in 2 rows, number tags in the air, coffee urns breathing steam beside a tray of store cookies. A hand-lettered sign read, Refund Desk Sunset Ridge Cases. Under the plastic nameplate at the first table, the embossed county seal pressed through a cardstock placard, prop number 2, Echo, the same dent I had carried from counter to counter for weeks. Mara Pritchard stood behind the line with a clipboard and a patience that looked like policy made human. Evan tested a small speaker by the bulletin board. It crackled, then settled. A stack of envelopes waited like quiet decisions. A clerk raised her voice. If you received an order notice, form a line by last name, ID, and the original receipt if you have it. People shuffled into columns. Boots, tennis shoes, church flats. The room smelled like floor cleaner and donated muffins. A child traced the edge of the gym floor's painted arc with a sneaker following rules he didn't know. A neighbor from 2 streets over tapped my shoulder. They're really paying it back. They are, I said, with interest where we could prove it. He nodded at the envelopes. Didn't think paper could apologize. It can account, I said. It's a start. Mara caught my eye and motioned to the small podium by the stage. The county seal hung behind it, wood darker, where 1,000 hands had steadied themselves. She mouthed, soon. At table 3, the veteran with the shoebox from the post office handed over his case number. The clerk checked the list, slipped an envelope across, and stamped his paper, paid restitution. He stood a little taller, like his spine had been given its own receipt. Coffee? Evan asked, materializing with 2 cups. Please, I said. The lid clicked. How many claims? 57 so far, he said. More this afternoon. The speaker squealed once as the council liaison adjusted the gooseneck on the podium. Thank you all for your patience, she said. We'll ask Mr. Huxley to say a few words shortly. Silent beat the room, thin to the sound of envelopes, sliding stamps thunking, and the soft tear of perforations. A woman in a denim jacket reached the desk, hands trembling. They told me I'd lose the house, she said to no one in particular. Mara stamped her form and slid the envelope forward. You didn't, she said. Welcome back to ordinary. The woman laughed, once wet-eyed. Ordinary feels new. Minnie, Cliff. A phone on the far table buzzed with a news alert. The headline's red bar bled across its screen before the caseworker flipped it face down. The council liaison nodded to me. I walked to the podium. The mic carried my breath before it carried my words. I won't take long, I said. You have better things to do than listen to me when there's money to put back in pockets. A ripple of relief laughter, the light kind you can stand under. I held up a copy of the order and the permit seal placard beside it, dense catching stage light. There are 2 kinds of authority, the kind that's earned in public and the kind that's printed in private. We met both. Mara stood to my left, clipboard down, eyes up. I felt braced like the podium had more legs than wood. Some of you paid because fear speaks louder than reason when it's wearing a logo, I said. You didn't fail. The system did. Today, the system is turning toward you instead of against you. A hand shot up near the aisle. What if they try again? Document. Call planning. Call code enforcement. Call each other, I said. Isolation is the wet cement they count on. We let it cure. Not anymore. I felt the sentence arrive before I said it, the one that fit the length of the room. Finally, someone fought back. It didn't bring cheers. It brought applause you could measure. Palms on air table edges rattling, the county seal vibrating a little in its frame. Mara looked down and closed her eyes once, a nod in the shape of gratitude. The liaison stepped up, mic angled. On behalf of the council, thank you Mr. Huxley, Ms. Pritchard, and all who filed. We'll hold open hours this week for anyone who couldn't come today. I moved aside. People returned to the business of being made whole. Evan pointed toward the bulletin board. They posted something, he said. We crossed the gym floor lines of basketball tape cutting routes through dust. The board held lost cat notices, a flyer for a pancake breakfast, and a fresh print pinned dead center with 2 blue tacks. Community Workday. Saturday, 9 a.m. Garden build between Huxley and Ashford lots. Bring gloves, shovels. Coffee by the urn, roses by memory. I read it twice. Vivian wrote that I said. She did, Mara said at my shoulder. She's at table 6 telling people not to be ashamed. She shouldn't be, I said. A teenager stapled a second copy to the cork with the solemn care of a registrar pinning a license. He looked at Evan. You the guy who ran the projector? Guilty, Evan said. Cool, the kid said, and meant it. I stepped back from the board so a couple could take a picture of the flyer. The flash washed the cork white, then let it settle back to brown. Behind us, stamps kept landing. Paid, paid, paid. A man in a work jacket stopped at the podium. Can I ask, he said, thumb on the edge of the stage. What do we do with the old notices now? Frame 1, I said. So you remember what not to believe. Shred the rest. He smiled, small. Fair. Mara joined us, flipping to a clean sheet on her clipboard. The council asked if you'd consider a brief recognition tonight, she said. Just a certificate, no speeches. More paper, I said. The good kind, she said. The clerk wheeled out another crate of envelopes. The line moved again. The room felt like a ledger, finding its balance column by column. Dad, Evan said, tapping his phone. Local outlet wants a pull quote. Give them something simple, I said. He typed, then read back. Community taught the board to listen. Good, I said. Make it theirs. Minnie Cliff. The coffee urn sputtered empty, then refilled with a fresh silver tank, quiet proof that some systems fix themselves if someone pays attention. The liaison returned to the mic. Last call for afternoon distribution. Evening session begins at 6. I looked at the podium's wood grain the same way I used to look at my grandmother's porch boards when I was a kid, counting lines to calm the noise. The permit seal placard still sat at the corner dent, catching light. I set my hand next to it, palm flat, and let the texture remind me how this started with something you could touch. People filed past, lighter by ounces and years. A man held his envelope like it might float away. A woman tucked hers under a sweater as if someone might try to take it back. No one would. The papers said so. We pinned one more flyer on the board, left side eye level where no one could miss it. Saturday, Evan said. We build the first bed. Roses first, I said. For her, for all of them, I said, glancing at the line, still moving the stamp, still landing the dent, still shining. Smoke from 2 grills curled above the cul-de-sac. Bacon and charcoal Saturday air. The concrete where everything started was dry, now pale gray under morning light. Evan uncoiled a line of orange string across the garden trench. Bubbles centered, he said. Good. Let's keep one thing level, I said. Neighbors arrived with gloves, their talk easy but cautious, like people still testing new ground. Mara Pritchard parked by the curb, cedar box in hand. She waved. Plaques ready. Don't peek. I'll try, I said, grinning. On my sawhorse, the old boundary pin waited, brass-polished clean except for one fine crack. When sunlight hit it, winked once and went still. A radio murmured weather reports. Someone poured coffee. The community table bore a hand-drawn sign, Community Garden Workday, 9 a.m. Evan checked my phone. Message at 03:17 again. Reminder, notice. The same timestamp that once marked the fake citation. Now it meant volunteers and roses. Leave it, I said. Proof we learned how to use the hour. Mara opened her clipboard. Before the first plant, the pin goes back. I knelt by the driveway edge. Gravel, cold air, quiet enough to hear the pencil in her hand. I pressed the brass back into its notch. Set. Recorded, she said, stamping the field sheet. The sound echoed the first violation form, but softer rightful. Vivian Ashford appeared with a tray of rose flats. These like, son, she said. Perfect spot, I said. They'll mark the line. Silent beat, nothing moved except dust settling over new soil. Evan poured water. It darkened the trench to ink. Mara read the level again. Original datum restored per 1973 survey. Neighbors applauded quietly, more breath than noise. She lifted the cedar box, removed tissue, and held up a brushed steel plaque. You should see this. The engraving caught light. Sunset Ridge Community Garden, founded by neighbors who chose proof over fear. Finally, someone fought back. The words looked deeper than the metal. Ready, she asked. Let's mount it. We fixed it to the stone border with 2 screws. The bit sang. The plaque hummed against the drive like it approved. Mara handed me a small ring of keys, shed gate tool locker, each stamped community. Custodian privileges. I'll share them, I said, pocketing the ring where the pin had been. Vivian stood back. You made the line honest again. Not alone, I said. Children carried watering cans. One asked, why roses? Because they remember, I said. And they bloom over boundaries. Minnie Cliff, a grill lid slammed. Everyone looked up, then laughed. The tension finally cracked open into ordinary sound. The council liaison unfolded a microphone cord. A few words, Mr. Huxley. I stepped forward, brushing soil from my hands. This started with a forged notice on a door, I said. Now it ends with a real seal in the ground. That's the distance between fear and fact. Mara folded her arms, smiling just enough. Some of you paid fines that weren't real. You still showed up. That's the lesson. Paper can lie, but people can correct it. I touched the plaque edge. Finally, someone fought back. Applause rose, steady, measured, the kind that holds instead of bursts. Evan caught the moment on video. Sunlight flared the lens. The liaison read the certificate aloud. By council order, authority returned to residents. Community custody acknowledged. She placed the paper in my hands. The embossed seal matched the one at the desk last week. Prop number 2 Echo closed its circle. Mara whispered, archive copy filed. Fear 1207 complete. Vivian pinned a new flyer on the bulletin board. Work day next Saturday. Planting beds and barbecue. Evan grinned. We're recurring now. Good problems, I said. We packed soil around the final rows. A neighbor's kid steadied the plaque while I tightened the last screw. Okay, he said. Level. Level, I repeated. Mara checked the clipboard one more time, initialed the bottom line, and closed it. Recorded, she said. The radio drifted into a light instrumental steel guitar, low and kind. For the first time, the tone could afford to be radio warm. Evan handed me a cup of sweet tea. You're quiet. I'm listening, I said. Concrete doesn't talk, but it remembers weight. He looked toward the roses. Think they'll survive the heat? They've already survived worse. Vivian wiped her hands on her jeans. There's your quote for next time, she said. We laughed, small and easy. The line of soil gleamed wet and straight. A drone camera lifted from the far sidewalk. County media crew. Mara waved them on. One slow pan. The drone banked lens, catching the reflection off the plaque, then the string line, then the brass pin glinting near the curb. Evan murmured, That's the shot. That's the proof, I said. The breeze shifted. Bacon smoke crossed the driveway, then cleared. Kids chased its ghost through sunlight. Neighbors started packing tools. One of them, the veteran from the refund line, clapped my shoulder. We owe you lunch. Just keep the line straight, I said. He smiled. Straight's easier when everyone's looking the same way. Mara slid the clipboard into her case. We'll frame the certificate for the office wall, next to the old map. Put it under the light, I said. Let it cast a shadow. She nodded, closed the latch, and handed me the spare key. Prop, loop, closed pin, reset. Keys transferred. Plaque mounted. I looked once more at the engraving. The letters caught sun, then shade, then sun again, the pulse of a community remembering how to stay honest. Cliff, fade. Camera pans across the plaque, glints off the brass pin, rises above the roses, and the steady line between drive and garden-proof fixed living. Fade to white. The plaque caught the late sun letters warm against the steel. The boundary pin gleamed beside the roses, proof that paper and patience could fix what shouting never did. Mara's signature dried on the posted order, and the neighbors lingered hands on shovels talking about next weekend's garden. The hum of the grill mixed with laughter ordinary earned. I looked at the line we'd rebuilt the seal, now honest under real light, and thought, finally, someone fought back. Justice isn't loud, it's steady. Share your HOA story below your map might help someone redraw theirs.